There is a muscle that divides the front of the forearm here from the back of the forearm. It's this big one right here. This is always going to be your starting point when we're doing the forearm. Always go to this one. It's number 20 on our model here. It's called the Brachio Radialis. So again, use this as your starting point. To me, this separated the front of the forearm from the back of the forearm. Okay. So this first one is the Brachio Radialis. Now watch me for a second. I'm going to go a little bit out of order from our notes. Once we find the Brachio Radialis, which is right over here, the first muscle next to it, I'm going to go across this way from the thumb side to the pinky side. This first muscle going kind of at an angle is the Pronator Teres. All right, so that's the Pronator Teres. What's the action of that muscle? What's it going to do? It's telling you. The name is telling you. Thank you. Right, Joe, show everybody real quick. What's it do? It's going to take the arm and it's going to turn it palm down. Right, pronation, palm down. Good. The next muscle, watch this, runs along the radius. It goes to the wrist. Flexor Carpi Radialis. So you tell me, listening to the name, what does it do? Flexes the what? What's carpus? Wrist. It tells you I'm flexing the wrist. Flexor Carpi Radialis. It's just telling you I'm running along the radius bone. So it's kind of giving it away. So watch this. Pronator Teres, Flexor Carpi Radialis. Now I'm going to go out of order for a minute. Then one next to it, right here, goes down the middle of the forearm, right to the palm, is called the Palmaris Longus. Right? The muscles that attach to the palm, they have the name Palmaris. So watch this. My hands falling asleep. Hang on one second. Watch this. If you took your fingers like this, let's see if you can show you how many. If I took my fingers like this and I flexed my palm, see this thing standing out right in the middle of my palm? That's that whole muscle. Oh, watch this right here. That thing right there he's pointing to. That's the Palmaris Longus. Try it. If you don't have it, don't get upset. 25% of the population doesn't have Palmaris Longus. So kind of go like this. Right? If you have like an Italian grandmother that you know, right? They go like this, right? You go like that, and now you flex the wrist. If it stands up like a triangle in the middle, Palmaris Longus. You got me? Sometimes we'll have somebody missing one. So this one goes right to the palm. So when I do this, what am I doing to the palm? I'm flexing the wrist also, right? This is another thing that's flexing the wrist. The last muscle, watch this. This one runs along the ulna bone to the wrist. So this one is going to be called Flexor Carpi Ulnaris. Flexor Carpi Ulnaris. All right. So listen to the name. Flexor Carpi. What does it do? Flexes the wrist. It's just running along the ulna bone. That's all it means. Okay. So here's the muscles on the front, guys. Watch this one more time. Now we'll do it all together. The first muscle you're going to find, number 20, Brachio Radialis. That's got to be your starting point. Otherwise, everything's going to be off. Okay? Brachio Radialis. From here, Pronator Teres, Flexor Carpi Radialis, Palmaris Longus. You'll see it going right to the palm. Flexor Carpi Ulnaris. Okay, I'll do it one more time. First one we're going to find, see if I can keep it all together. Brachio Radialis. Then from the front, we're going to go Pronator Teres, Flexor Carpi Radialis, Palmaris Longus, Flexor Carpi Ulnaris. Okay? Those are the muscles that are kind of like the superficial muscles in the forearm. So watch what I'm going to do next. If we had a scalpel, right, and we cut here, and we cut down a little bit, we take these superficial muscles off, we're going to see a muscle in the middle group. I have it like intermediate layer. There's one muscle there. It's called the Flexor digitorum. So listen to the name. You tell me, what is it doing? Flexing the fingers, right? If you're holding your steering wheel like this, holding a cup of coffee, holding your cell phone, right? You're recording me right now. You're contracting your fingers to flex. You're contracting your flexor digitorum superficialis. All right, here it is right here. We only see it, however, when we take these superficial muscles off. It's hidden otherwise, okay? Just so you know, for those of you guys interested in it, if we took flexor dig superficialis off, if I pop these off, then we would have the two deeper muscles which we crossed off, the flexor digitorum profundus and the flexor palmaris longus. They would be underneath here. Right? So if you're interested and you want to see them, I can show it to you. I'm just not going to ask you about it. Okay, so we'll stop there on the front. Any questions? If you go in the order that I gave you guys, let me just put this back together in a second. If you kind of follow that order, Brachior Radialis, Pronator Teres, Flexor Carpi Radialis, Palmaris Longus, Flexor Carpi Ulnaris. If you go across that way, you're going to be good. Take the superficial ones off. What's the one below it? Flexor digitorum, right? Superficialis. The reason we say superficialis is because there's a deeper one, the profundus, underneath. But with that one we struck. Okay. Anybody, questions or comments? All right, down to the last ones. So let's do the forearm muscles in the back this time. Watch this, guys. I'll put this back together here for a second. Okay. What was our starting muscle here? Number 20? Brachior Radialis. Again, you got to start there. So now watch this, guys. The muscles on the back of the forearm have the same name, similar to the ones on the front of the forearm, except we're going to call these extensors, right? The front of the forearm does this. The back of the forearm brings our hand backwards. It's going to extend. So, watch this. Let's just hold this like that. Brachior Radialis. Now, the next muscles have the same name. They're called Extensor Carpi Radialis. So tell me from the name, Extensorcari, what are they doing?
Extending the wrist.
Extending the wrist, right? So if I asked you, what does this muscle do? The name tells you. You don't have to memorize anything. The name's telling you, right? Extensorcari Radialis. But watch this. At some schools, believe it or not, we actually teach it as one muscle, but this model, they have it divided. So here at NASA, we teach it as two muscles. The one muscle right here, it's right next to the Brachior Radialis. This is the Extensor Carpi Radialis Longus. The one right next to it, make sure I'm on it, Extensor Carpi Radialis Brevis. Right? So the Extensor Carpi Radialis, they both have the same name. One is the longest muscle, the other one is the brevis muscle. Both of them do the same thing, extend the wrist. Now, the next one, right here, right going down the middle of the forearm. Notice the tendons, guys, go to each one of our fingers right here. From here, right, the tendons go down. So this one is called Extensor digitorum. What's the action? It's going to extend the digits, right? So when you kind of bring your hands back like this, your fingers back like this, right? You can even see, I can even see the tendons again, even on my hand, right? You can see it, all these tendons right there sticking up. Those are all extensor digitorum tendons. Real easy, okay? The next muscle right here, next to extensor digitorum, right here, this one doesn't have a number on it. It's not on our list in our supplemental text, but watch this. It goes here, and then if you follow it, it goes to the little pinky. So it extends just the little pinky like this, right? You snobs that drink your tea like this, right? When you bring your pinky up like that, right, to drink your tea. That's your extensor digiti minimi. What do you think that means? Extensor digiti minimi. It's a way of saying the pinky, right? The little finger. Digiti minimi, little finger. Okay, so that's what the anatomist was saying. Okay? Extensor digiti minimi. Okay? Finally, guys, the last one here, running along the ulna,